Well, I'm excited, and I'm excited because we've never had a guest on Mission Growth. And it only makes sense that the first guest that we have is author, trainer, teacher, and my father, Bernard Smalls. Dad, how are you feeling today?
I'm doing awesome, Aaron. Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Thank you. I appreciate you doing this. For anyone who has never heard of you or doesn't really know what you've been involved in, a little bit of your background, would you share it for them?
Yeah, I'll go all the way back to the beginning.
Okay.
When I was around 10 years old, my dad bought a set of drums, and I started playing the drums. By the time I was 14, I was in a band. 15, 16, we were doing gigs with groups like the OJs and even the Commodores, and eventually had a potential deal with Motown. The deal fell apart in Oakland, California, and ended up going to Anchorage, Alaska. And that was the beginning of the training business career, because I started out in the job washing cars, and washed cars for a couple of years. Started to read books like The 1 Minute Manager and personal development books by Zig Ziglar and others, and moved into eventually business and corporate training.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you played drums. Did you ever play with Lionel Richie? I actually don't know
We
that.
actually, we were the halftime band. They played, they took a break, the halftime band would fill in, and then they finished the gig. So we weren't playing with them.
Okay.
But we were on the set.
Okay.
And we were in the back in the room talking, met Lionel and a whole bunch when he was still with the Commodores.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't know about that.
No, I didn't know
Yeah.
That's very
Wow,
cool.
good. I'm glad I told that little story. Yeah, and you could tell back then even that Lionel was the most talented guy on the stage.
Okay.
They had a very good drummer too, but Lionel was star of the show, and he ended up breaking off from the Commodores. Anyway, so that's the claim to fame.
Yeah, yeah.
The Lionel Richie gig.
And it's funny because one of the first things I'm always asked is, how did you, as I was born in Alaska, how were you born in Alaska? Like, what were you guys doing there? So yeah, that's the reason we were in Alaska, for people that are wondering.
Yeah, I get questions about Alaska all the time too. Alaska, what are you doing in Alaska? Yeah, it was music.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you are an author, and one of the reasons that I wanted to have you here is, full disclosure, I was going through a challenge recently. And in this challenge, I always reach for things that can kind of restructure my mindset and make sure that my mind is strong no matter what's going on. And so I looked at my bookshelf and I saw two books. I saw The Lemonade Principle, and I saw the book that we are going to talk about today. When did you decide to start writing books?
Yeah, well, my first book was a result of successful training. When I was working with Toyota Mall of Georgia, owner had built this $18 million Toyota facility. And I actually started out in sales, but I had a training background. He found out I was a trainer. So he said, why don't you put together a training class and let's see what you can do, basically. So the training class was successful. In fact, I was just up in Michigan, and one of the GMs up there, general manager, was in my first training class at Toyota Mall, and now he's over 3 stores.
Wow.
So we believe in developing leaders. But anyway, I did the training class, and we had a really successful store that made Toyota history.
Okay.
And the thought just hit me one day, why don't you write a book about this experience? So I took the training philosophies, what we actually did in the classes, put it in a book along with the story of the successful dealership. And Ken Blanchard endorsed it, along with Peter J. Daniels and a lady named Dottie Walters, who wrote Speak and Grow Rich.
Okay.
So the first book was about customer service. It was just a story about the training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, one of the books that really helped me, and the book that I want to talk about today, is Happiness is BS. Can you provide a little overview of the book and what inspired you to write this one in particular?
First of all, the title gets some attention. Happiness is BS. I often get the question, how'd you come up with the title? Well, I was thinking of titles, and I came up with about 50 different titles.
Okay.
And the BS kept coming back to me because belief systems are the key to happiness. But then BS in the street has another connotation, of
Yeah,
course.
for sure.
Say, this is all BS. So I started to call it how to get the BS out of your life. But someone told me, "Oh no, man, that's too over the top."
Much.
Yeah, they thought that was too much. How to get the BS out of your life?
I like that.
The belief systems. So the lady who was helping me with the editing, she's real conservative. She didn't like that at all. She said, "Oh no." I said, "Well, you'll probably sell a lot of books."
Yeah.
But happiness is belief systems,
Okay.
meaning Abraham Lincoln said, "You're about as happy as you have chosen to be."
Wow.
So the BS thing kept coming, and we started doing research, and took about a year and a half and put together this little book.
You are as happy as you've chosen to be. Is that
Yeah,
what you said?
Abraham Lincoln said that. A man is about as happy as he is chosen to be. So I like motivational quotes, and I was meditating on that, and I thought, well, that means happiness is really a belief. Happiness starts within. And if you study the life of Abe Lincoln, he went through a lot of stuff, a lot of failure.
Right.
And he said a man, again, is about as happy, a person is about as happy as he has chosen to be. So
Wow.
that was the basis of the book.
That's strong. That's
Yeah.
strong, and that's true. So in the book, you mentioned that there are 5, I think you called it 5 rules to being happy.
Yeah, 5 rules to being happy.
What are, if you could just give a brief little overview, what are the 5 rules here?
Yeah, number 1 is choose to be happy, which again goes with the premise that Abe Lincoln laid about happy as chosen to be, meaning happiness is really a choice. Most people think happiness is circumstantial, or it's based on how much money they have or the situation of life, but happiness is a choice. Number 2 is to free your mind. You got to free your mind from worries. Most people that are not happy are people that worry a lot. Some people are world champion worriers. So you got to free your mind from worry. Number 3 is to free your heart from hatred. And of course, if you're not loving people and not forgiving, you're not going to be a very happy person. So we talk a lot about peace, and we use a lot of stories about peace, people getting along, people that were treated poorly who still remain happy. And number 4 is to live simply. Happiness is a result of keeping life, KISS, keep it simple, student. And finally, number 5 is to give more. It's always a blessing to be a giver. So those are the 5 principles, and the book is kind of like, that's like the framework for the book, and we build around it with stories and experiences and so on.
Okay. So when you're saying happiness is a choice, that is not something traditionally that you hear.
Yeah.
People tend to think that it's the circumstance or whatever happens in life is what allows me to then be happy. What are some common misconceptions about happiness in general?
Yeah. Well, a guy by the name of Viktor Frankl was in a communist concentration camp, and he's a psychologist. While he was in that camp, he realized that they could torture him, they could do whatever they want, but they couldn't control his mind.
Wow.
So he decided, even in a communist camp, I can be happy. And he is one of the few that lived to get out of the camp, come back to America, and had a long career in writing and so on. And so happiness is really a choice, even if you're in an unhappy situation. But most of us, again, we make happiness circumstantial, like, I've got a lot of money, so I'm happy. But the fact is, most people with a lot of money are not happy.
That's
Now,
true.
a lot of people say, well, just try me. Let me try it. One guy said, money won't make you happy. A guy said, well, let me get that lesson for myself. Just give me the money. But one of my mentors, Peter J. Daniels, wrote a book, How to Be Happy Though Rich. And the reason he wrote it like that, he's saying many rich people are not happy. And if you study wealth, some of the most miserable people are some of the wealthiest people in the world.
Yeah.
So happiness is within. It starts by peace of mind, being a loving, generous, just happy person, and choosing to get the negativity out.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about positive thinking in the book.
Absolutely. And it's funny because you hear the story of a lot of people that have money, millionaires that end up committing suicide or have these issues, and you're like, it appears as though they have it all.
Yeah.
You know, but like you're saying, happiness is a choice, and it all starts with our belief systems, which is one of the great points here in the book.
Yeah. Well, there's an old saying, nothing fails like success. And a lot of people, and we're seeing it a lot in the media, we're seeing it with celebrities, musicians, rappers. When they get everything, they just go crazy. They go whack. It's like some people like, if I had all that you had, what I would not dare be doing the stupid stuff you're doing. But it shows that the contentment, lack of contentment within, even though you have all the money, the houses, the mansions. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I think suffering at a high level is good if you're going to suffer. So you might as well prosper, but don't look at that alone to make you happy.
Yeah.
That's kind of what the book is based on.
Okay. So when we're talking about the beliefs, and there's a lot of people that have limiting beliefs, how does an individual identify these limiting beliefs, and how do you start working towards improving your belief system?
Yeah. Well, I believe we were created, good question, by the way, to dream. And dreaming takes the lid off and the limits off of limiting beliefs. A limiting belief would be a belief, like I was talking to a guy recently, he said, I've never made over $50,000 a year.
Okay.
And he said, most people in this area of the country only make about 70,000 a year. So you're talking about making six figures. That's not for this area. That's good for Atlanta, but not for here. So I said, well, you have to take the lid off of your thinking. John C. Maxwell talks about the law of the lid.
Yes.
And you'll never rise above the lid in your life. And the lid of thinking is, in that case, 70,000. Well, I kept going there training. And the last time I talked to the group, there were at least 10 people that are now making six figures, but they had never done it. It's a limiting factor based on thinking. Well, what has that got to do with happiness? Well, when you prosper, you're happy about your accomplishments. You're happy of making the money, of course. And I'm not saying the money is going to create internal happiness, but hey, when your bills are paid and your needs are met, one guy said everything is funny with a pocket full of money. So there's nothing wrong with making the money. No. But the limiting factor has to do with mostly negativity and negative thinking.
Okay. What would you say to someone? I think environment plays there. So how do I remain positive if my environment is stressful?
Yeah, that's a good question. First of all, life is inside out. We put so much emphasis on outside in. The whole system of the world teaches you to be outwardly focused.
Right.
But really, life is, it's all within. And if you're happy within, it doesn't matter what's happening on the outside. You're going to have peace of mind.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people think, oh, that's just Pollyannic. You can't really be happy if you're broke. You can't be happy if you're sick. Well, again, happiness is BS. It's your belief system. It's not what's going on out here.
Yeah.
So what I recommend is positive affirmations. I'm heavy on that. Positive right thinking. In fact, one of my favorite affirmations is I feel happy, I feel healthy, I feel terrific. Some people say, how can I say that if I feel terrible? When you feel terrible, you really need to say that. But it's from within. I feel happy within. I feel healthy. I feel terrific. And it makes a difference.
Where did that come from? Where did happy, healthy, terrific originally come from?
Actually, I learned it from a man by the name of W. Clement Stone.
Okay.
And every student of success should study this man. He was raised by a tremendous mother. She was a single parent, raised him. And when he was a young man, he started selling life insurance door to door.
Okay.
And by the time he was in his mid-20s, he had a passion to go into business. So he took $100 of his own money and started a life insurance company, and he died a billionaire. He ended up becoming a billionaire. And by the way, he lived to be 100 years of age.
Wow.
And so did his wife. Now, when I heard that, he lived to be 100 years of age, and so did his wife, so it wasn't luck.
Yeah.
He said, every day I make this affirmation, and he had a high voice. I feel happy, I feel healthy, and I feel terrific. And they said that's the way he started every sales meeting. They said when he walked into the office after jumping out of his convertible, he'd come walking down the hall. I feel happy. I feel healthy. I feel terrific. And people said, that old man is crazy.
Right.
Yeah, but he's also rich. And he's healthy. He lived to be 100.
Yeah.
So I like his story, not just that part of it. I do a lot of sales training, and he's one of the best sales trainers in the world.
Yeah.
He said he would literally, when he was selling life insurance, if he knocked on a door and a person rejected him, he would run to the next house. He wouldn't just walk.
Okay.
You see him running across the lawn with his suit on and everything to knock on the next door. And he taught a sales system that never fails. And he also wrote a book, Positive Mental Attitude.
Okay.
So they called him Mr. PMA.
Yeah.
And in fact, W. Clement Stone, he also said this. He said, the Bible is the best motivational book in the world. He said it's actually a motivational book. So that's where I learned it, from W. Clement Stone. And I was privileged to be in a meeting out in Salt Lake City with a man that worked for him for about 30 years.
Okay.
And I was just picking his brain, and this guy said, yeah, I work for W. Clement Stone in Chicago, Combined Insurance Companies of America.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So rule number 2, it talks about freeing your mind from worries. Anxiety is something that is discussed a lot. It is, I forget what the number is, but they said most of the things that we are anxious about or we're concerned about never even happen.
Exactly.
Like it's not even close.
Yeah.
How can one begin to free your mind from these worries and from anxiety?
Yeah, that's funny. I just posted that yesterday on Facebook, that negativity, actually people think it's normal, but it's really abnormal, and it doesn't make sense when you really think of it, because most of the things you worry about never happen.
Absolutely.
They say over 80% of the things we worry about, fear, never happen in the first place, so why do you fret?
Right.
You free your mind from worries mainly by internalizing positive thoughts.
Okay.
The Power of Positive Thinking is one of my favorite books, written by a man named Norman Vincent Peale. And he talks about positive thinking being a choice. Mm-hmm. When you choose positivity, there's a concept in psychology called thought displacement, meaning you displace the negative thought and you think a positive thought.
Okay.
You take the negative out and replace it. Like if you say, man, I'm broke. I don't know what I'm going to do. There's a whole lot of month left. I'm just about out of money. You start saying things like, I am prosperous. I am wealthy. I deserve wealth. Money comes to me. And when you replace those negative thoughts, you relieve yourself of the anxiety and the worry, and it really works. It's called thought displacement, displacing the negative thought. But you got to replace it with a positive thought, because if you don't put something in, you're like an empty vessel, and the negativity will fill you up. It'll take you over. It's everywhere.
I just say idle mind's the devil's workshop.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So one of my favorite chapters in the book talks about self-concept. I believe it was chapter 7. Mm-hmm. It mentions the law of belief. What is the law of belief, and how does it play in our overall?
Yeah, the law of belief is a real simple law that as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Mm. Because what you think about, you bring about, because what you think about, you will believe. If you keep thinking about something long enough, you start to believe it. And the law of belief just says you can have whatever you believe you can have. It's a very powerful thing, and it's actually taught by the master teacher, Jesus. According to your faith, so be it unto you. So whatever you're believing, and it's been proven psychologically that your beliefs create. The belief system, happiness is BS, will create happiness or will create unhappiness. And it is a law. Okay. It's not about religion. It's just a law. The negative person will attract negativity, which goes with the law of attraction, while the positive person attracts positivity. And it's all based on your BS. It's simply BS, right. Your belief system.
It's funny because that was going to be my next question, was mentioning the law of attraction and how that plays into happiness, but all of that has to do with the self-concept and our beliefs and what we're bringing in.
Yeah, exactly. You see, it's been scientifically proven that a thought is energy.
Okay.
Your thoughts are energy. Negative thinking is negative energy. Well, energy causes things to happen. Energy causes things to come to pass. So it's a mystery how it works. But when you think a negative thought and you speak negative words, you are creating negativity and releasing negativity, because thoughts are energy. The thought really is energy. Thoughts are things, as Napoleon Hill said in his book, Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
Yeah, we look at a thought as, well, just negative thinking. It's not hurting anyone. Yeah, it is. It's hurting you.
Absolutely.
And eventually will affect others around you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It also, you mentioned IDD. We've heard of ADD.
Yeah.
But what is IDD? There's several people that are suffering from IDD.
Yeah, well, it's intention deficit disorder.
Intention,
Right. Well, of course, a deficit means lack, and disorder means it's in disorder. So ADD, attention, meaning this person can't stay focused. What we're talking about is intention, which is purpose. People that lack purpose have IDD. They have a lack of intention. So they're wandering through life, not knowing what to do. There's an old proverb that says, where there is no vision, people perish. Intention is very important. Dr. Wayne Dyer wrote a book, The Power of Intention. I highly recommend reading it. It just talks about the phases of intention and how intention is the reason for being.
Okay.
Like whatever you intend to do with your life is basically your purpose, your mission in life.
Wow.
And most people lack it, so they have IDD.
IDD.
So they're not happy because they have no focus or
Yeah.
direction.
There's also the concept of quiet desperation, I believe you called it.
Yeah.
What is the concept of quiet desperation?
It's really the frustration we have within when we know we can be doing better.
Wow.
It's like you're quietly desperate. Like, what am I going to do next? This isn't good. This shouldn't have happened. Why did that happen to me? And you're musing and meditating on this desperation within. And it could be a positive thing if you allow that to move you to action.
Yeah.
But if you don't, that quiet desperation, most people lead lives of quiet desperation. They're miserable within. They know they're not what they want to be, supposed to be, can be, and they're desperate that I'm running out of time. I'm getting older.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hear people saying, what has my life become? Well, that goes back to IDD. You had no intention, no direction.
Right.
So you perish.
So in a quiet desperation, I think everyone goes through that too.
Everyone goes through it. Yeah. We all deal with quiet desperation.
Yeah.
Sometimes you find yourself, and again, it can be a positive thing. I recommend you put on some of your favorite music, just relax, chill out, and relieve yourself of the stress. But during that time, you're having some serious introspective thoughts about your life.
Yeah.
And you're desperate, like, I got to do something. I got to make it happen. It's not happening fast enough. People are resisting me.
Yep.
Yeah. So quiet desperation. Most people lead lives of quiet desperation.
Okay.
People everywhere in America and in the world are quietly desperate. And some people never even talk about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
When it comes to dreams, and belief systems, I saw a quote that I loved. It said, dreams are not communal property, is what I believe is what you said in the book. What is the importance of being aware of who we share our dreams with? Because sometimes we get excited and we just want to say, hey, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah, very good question. Dreams are not community property. I think one of the greatest illustrations of that is the biblical Joseph. Because when Joseph was young, he had these dreams. He shared it with his brothers. Well, his brothers hated him because of the dream, and he was eventually thrown into a pit. And that's kind of where that thought comes from. he made his dreams community property. Many of your dreams are for you and only for people that have ears to hear. Now, that's from the spiritual standpoint. From the practical standpoint, when you share your dream with negative people, what do you think they're going to say? You already know they're negative, so you start sharing your dream. And dreams are typically the impossible. Like I've been teaching people recently to think billions, not just millions. The whole billionaire concept. I mean, think of being a billionaire.
Right.
I mean, that's a heavy thought.
Yeah.
So it's so much more challenging than being a millionaire. Millionaires are made every couple of hours now.
Sure.
But a billionaire, so why not dream? But suppose you go to your family members saying, I'm going to be the next billionaire. What are they going to say? The haters are going to hate.
Yes, yes.
And now you're making a dream community property. I don't believe there's anything wrong with dreaming of being a billionaire.
No.
Most billionaires dreamt of being billionaires.
Yep.
And I could mention names, but we have several young men that have started companies and moved into the billion flow. I was listening to Mark Cuban recently. I like Mark Cuban.
I do too.
And
Smart.
someone asked him, what does it feel like to be a billionaire?
Okay.
And he used a word I won't use here. He said, blanking great. Okay. And he was just saying, you don't know what it feels like just to be a billionaire. I enjoy it. And he just got turned on.
Yeah.
But he dreamt, he's one of the ones that dreamt of being a billionaire. He didn't just stumble into it by luck. And I believe it gives your life the power of intention. If you intend to be a billionaire, you want to live right, you want to keep yourself healthy, you want to make money and be a blessing, be a giver, and all that stuff. So anyway, I think dreams that are that sensitive should be kept between you and the Creator. If you share it with the wrong people, here's another fact. Many people, one guy said, all it takes is one negative thought or word to destroy a good idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it'll throw you off, and you'll start thinking, that was stupid. And then next thing you know, your dream's on the shelf. So dreams are not community property.
I love it. I love it. Another thought that I loved in the book is you talked about having an optimistic view of trouble. One of my favorite quotes was, you said, when it rains on your parade, don't throw in the towel. It's just rain. Yeah. The concept of it's just rain. I love that. How can one begin to have that optimistic view when there's chaos all around them? Like when they're going through trouble? How do you be optimistic then?
Well, we shouldn't let trouble trouble us.
Okay.
Trouble doesn't have to trouble you anymore because trouble is a sign of life. Norman Vincent Peale once was walking the streets of New York, and he had written the book, The Power of Positive Thinking. He was well known for it. And a guy ran up to him and says, yo, Mr. Peale, Mr. Peale, Mr. Peale, I need you to pray for me. And Mr. Peale said, yes, I'm a minister of the gospel. I can pray for you. He said, what do you want prayer about? He said, I want prayer that I'll have no more trouble or problems the rest of my life. So Mr. Peale, Dr. Peale said, well, follow me. He walked about 4 blocks and he said, here are 9,000 people with no trouble, no problems. And he took them to the local cemetery. Okay, so problems are a sign of life. The more problems you have, the more life you have. Plus, if you look at problems, most great solutions come out of problems.
For sure.
It's one invention after another has been invented because of a problem. So problems actually, though they seem negative, they make us stronger if we apply positivity in the midst of the problem because you rise above the problem. And of course, it's like working out, no pain, no gain.
Yeah.
Mr. Daniels, Peter J. Daniels, one of my mentors, says success is the willingness to bear the pain of the problem. But most people don't want trouble. They don't want problem. But again, nothing fails like success. We're more likely to quit when we're doing well than when we're even going through it. But no one likes to go through it. When you're going through it, just like, but once you get to the other side, this is why I like to say success is a journey, not a destination. Because when you get to the destination of success, that's a dangerous place because now I have the money. You stop doing what you were doing.
Absolutely.
So welcome trouble. count it joy.
Yeah.
Consider it joy.
Yes, yes. Rule number 4 mentions live simply. It mentions live simply. And one of the quotes I have is, we find ourselves always trying to get somewhere other than where we are. So what is the balance between becoming, like we want to become this, and being satisfied with where we are?
Wow, you really read the book, I see. Yeah. You know, most books that people buy, they say only 10% of books people buy are read.
Really?
Yeah.
So they sit on the shelf
most
somewhere.
people, they read the first chapter and they put it on a shelf.
Yeah.
Well, it's a very interesting thing when you think about the fact that we're put here, I believe, to live the abundant life.
Okay.
So when you think of happiness and being a happy person, it's like I've got to be happy within, and I've got to move towards a destination, move towards a goal, move towards a vision, move towards a dream. That starts to disengage the negativity.
Okay.
And when you disengage negativity, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Let me ask you a question. Why did you ask that question?
Because I think this is something anyone who is driven and has that dream, sometimes it's hard for you to be grateful and notice where you're at.
Okay.
It's like you can be so focused on where you want to be that it's hard to just accept the positivity that's around you and the fact that your life is pretty good now. You know what
exactly.
I mean?
Well, that goes back, thank you for sharing that,
Yeah.
to the power of I am.
Okay.
So when you start saying, I am prosperous, I am healthy, I am wealthy, you're not trying to get there, you are there. And it's called the law of being. It's a powerful thing. You be it within before you be it without.
Yeah.
And there is a Hebrew proverb that says, people that are walking under the curse of failure, they're always wishing they were where they're not.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Wow.
in the Hebrew, it brings out, some people are saying, would God it were morning. And then when morning comes, would God it were evening. And when evening comes, would God it were morning. It's like no matter where they are, they're not satisfied with where they are. When contentment really starts within. And I like the book, The Power of Now. That's what it's all about. It's like, be happy now. What has to happen for you to be happy? The choice is to be happy now. In fact, that's a powerful, powerful concept. When you live in the moment, you're not stressing about where you want to be. Because again, when you get there, if that's all you want is the destination, you're going to say, is this all there is to it?
Absolutely.
I've got the $1 million now. I don't feel any better.
Yeah. Rule number 5. Rule number 5 mentions give more. I've always noticed for myself, like, don't get me wrong, it's cool to receive, but there's something different about giving that really brings a different level of happiness.
Yeah.
What is the importance, or what is the link between give more and that happiness?
Yeah. Well, it's more productive to give than to receive, because when you give, you're planting a seed. When you receive, you're consuming what you receive. Well, if you want to prosper, you need to plant seeds that multiply. And the funny thing is that when you give, you go through a death. First of all, when you're giving, let's say you're going to give someone $500. You're thinking, $500? That's 5 Ben Franklins, man. That's a lot of money. And you go through the death of giving. Giving is always a death, and it doesn't feel good sometimes when you're doing it. You're like, oh, God, I'm writing this check. But once you do it, a peace that passes all understanding
There it is.
takes you into, I believe, a divine realm, and then you start feeling really great. And it's more blessed, happy to give than to receive. So give more. One of the things a person should do that's miserable is to start giving. You got a lot of wealthy, miserable people. If they would just start giving away some of that money, they would start feeling a lot happier. It's psychological, it's inward, and it's also spiritual. And I believe it's practical. You sow a seed, you reap a harvest. So,
I love it. I love it.
yeah.
All right. So for this last portion, there are certain lines in the book that I loved.
Okay.
And so I would like to just say a line and have you elaborate on it, kind of just
Okay.
go off the top here.
All right. That's cool.
One of my favorites is you said, humans are dispensers of divine gifts.
Mm-hmm.
That was strong. What did you mean by that?
Well, if you go into a restroom, they have what's called a towel dispenser, and it dispenses paper towel.
Right.
So if you go there and you wave your hand under these things and there's no paper towel, you're like, what's wrong with this system? You're ready to call management.
Right.
But it dispenses the towel. So we have gifts. Like for me, one is teaching. My mission statement is I teach people how to live happily and successfully.
Okay.
So I dispense that gift. I have to give it out.
Right.
You have to use it. And too many people are sitting on their gifts when we're dispensers of divine gifts.
I love it. Many people have misunderstood motivation.
Motivation, most people think, is hype. I get people all the time saying, oh, you're a motivational speaker. You fire people up. Like one guy told me after a meeting one time, you're good at what you do, but I think this motivation is pure BS. Yeah, I mean, an old guy in South Georgia. I said, pure BS. He said, yeah, I think it's pure BS. He said, they're just trying to psych us up. And he was in sales. And I said to him, that's when he got me thinking about BS.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, it is BS, belief systems. And he laughed, and we became friends. But he said, this motivational hype is pure BS. Motivation is really based on principles, not on hype. You don't have to be the loudest guy in the room to be motivated. Motivated means you're in control of your energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, motivated is
Very
a powerful word.
Problems are inherently good.
Problems are good because problems are a sign of life. The more life you have, the more problems you have. And we are to consider problems as joy. Now, joy is different than happiness, and I don't want to get into the deeply spiritual thing, but you may be going through a deep problem, and it could even be a relational problem, a family problem, but you sense a deep peace within that passes all understanding. So problems are inherently good. Plus, on the other hand, problems often lead to solutions. You know that at the World's Fair years ago, there was a guy that used to serve ice cream, and he would serve ice cream on a plate. Well, he ran out of paper plates, and he said, what am I going to do? We're out of paper plates. So someone says, why not put the ice cream on a waffle? And the guy started putting the ice cream on the waffle, and one guy said, let's twist the waffle and make a cone. Thus the beginning of the ice cream cone.
Yeah.
So had he not run out of plates, which was a problem, we wouldn't have ice cream cones. Imagine being the guy with the patent on the ice cream cone.
Yeah, you'd be doing all right.
Yeah, so many things have happened that way. So anyway, problems are a sign of life. They're good.
Okay. The greatest goal that you can make this year is to be at peace with your life.
Exactly. At peace within. That means peace of mind, peace in your heart. Some people, again, always have this war going on within. There's something about it when you stop sweating the small stuff and you have peace within. Don't sweat the small stuff. It's all small stuff.
Absolutely. Do you have any final words that you would say to anyone that's going through a challenging time?
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
Yeah, I would say look within. There's one story in the book about a guy, a beggar, sitting on a box. And he's sitting there just begging people for money as people pass by. One tourist came up to him and said, let me ask you a question. Why are you begging? He said, because I'm in poverty. I'm broke. I'm poor. And he said, well, what are you sitting on? He said, I'm sitting on a box. So the tourist said, have you ever looked within? He said, no, I've never looked in a box. It's just an old box. I just sit here and beg. The tourist said, well, let's look within. So the guy stood up and opened the box, and the box was loaded with gold. The whole time he's sitting there begging when he's sitting on a pile of gold. but he had to look within. So my advice would be look within. What's going on in you? It's not the people around you. It's not the people in your family. It's not your spouse. It's not your boss. It's what's going on within you. It is within. Happiness is within.
Awesome. Awesome. So as we wrap, I wanted to make sure that everyone knew where they can find you. Where's the website? Where can they buy the book?
Okay.
If you could just let us know some of that stuff here.
Great. My website is centerforiam.com. And it's center, C-E-N-T-R-E. We spell it the UK way, the English way. But center, C-E-N-T-R-E, for I-am.com. And you can click on the link there. And we have a page there that actually takes you to Amazon. Yeah. If you want the book, the actual book, the paper book, I like the cover. I like the way the girl created it. She did a good job. You can get it at Amazon.com. That's Amazon.com. And visit our website, centerforiam.com. If we can help you with anything, just go ahead and put a comment there, and we'll get back with you shortly with a solution or an answer to any of your questions. Center, C-E-N-T-R-E, foriam.com.